You can't cop off with that many men in your life and not pick up a few enemies. And Pat, well, she had bucket loads.
You got a problem?
No, should I?
I'd say her attitude is definitely out there. It's quite bold. She's not afraid to stand up for herself, and she's not afraid to tell people what she thinks of him.
I think we better take this outside, don't you?
She'd come up through life suffering quite a few hard knocks in her time.
You can be a right hard-faced bitch sometimes. Do you know that?
Yeah? Well, life has a habit of making me that way.
If Pat challenged me to an arm wrestle in the Vic, I wouldn't put my house on it.
Another little dip in the piggy bank, is it?
It's always been frank for you, isn't it?
You wouldn't want to get into a fight with Pat because, quite honestly, you'd lose.
Pat's quite an easy character to write for. You know that she's always going to have a fantastic comeback. And she doesn't care what anyone thinks of her, so you can get her to say anything.
You couldn't give a drunken sailor with a bottle of rum a good time.
Oh, there were plenty of characters ready to be Pat's arch nemesis.
Slap me if it makes you feel better.
First to lay claim to the crown is her wicked stepdaughter,
You?
Hello, Pat.
Janine.
I think there are scenes when the intensity of Pat and Janine's dislike is palpable.
I would rather wade through a lake of doggy diarrhea than talk to you.
Janine blames Pat for a lot of things that aren't Pat's faults.
I'm sick of it! You standing there like you're keeping the Frank Butcher flame burning or something.
Because Janine blames everybody for everything.
Pat, put him down. No! They can't stand each other most of the time, but for some reason Pat's a glutton for punishment. How dare you! Pam and I always used to get excited if we knew we had a good tear-up.
You think you've got away with this, don't you? But believe me, it'll come back on you one day, and when it does, I hope you burn in hell. Pat has always hoped that there's something redeemable in Janine. That she can't be all bad.
Everything I learned, I learned from you.
Looks pretty bad to me, Pat. Mind you, maybe not quite as evil as her ever-jealous stepson. Big bad Barry.
Well. Barry was always looking out for his dad. And he would never take Pat's side over his dad, even if his dad was totally wrong.
You're not fit to run this business.
We're certainly not fit to run a marriage.
Oh, really?
I think Barry ultimately came to hate Pat.
Right!
Because he blamed her for his father's death.
What have you done?
I remember one scene, Barry is screaming at her on the stairs because Pat said, "Look, Barry, I know what you're going through." And he said, "Really, Pat? Do you?"
Have you just found out your slut of a wife has been having an affair? Have you just lost your only child? And how about your dad? In the same week?
The scenes, they were very intense, very dramatic, very off the wall. I mean, they were, you know, on the verge of madness.
You lose, I win. What's my prize? What's my prize?
There's a great scene where Barry has traced Pat's family tree. It just totally makes a mockery of her life, really.
Your sons, your granddaughter, are rotten to the core. Mind you, I can't really blame them for all of that, can I? I mean, look what they've come from.
I'd describe those scenes at the end with Pat as just a total gift. And I think we both played them with relish.
And now you talk to me about looking after me? You hypocrite!
It wasn't that simple!
I could have saved my marriage!
It was already over. Nat told me she didn't love you. She never had.
Pat is evicted and she wanders off into the cold. But it was a great image.
But surely only another hard-faced matriarch can truly stand up to Pat. There can only be one winner. Peggy Mitchell.
Will you listen to yourself, you stupid fat old tart?
With Pat and Peggy, they're the queens of the cat fight.
I think you need to cool down, Peggy.
Pat would just knock you out,
Dare you!
whereas Peggy would probably scratch your eyes out.
Of course, with Pat and Peggy, fights revolved around one topic.
You must have felt home there for a minute, laying on your back looking up at my Frank.
Men.
You know what I don't understand?
How to keep your legs crossed. You just go for it, that's all you can do.
You get off from me!
You take back what he said!
You...
Most of the slaps I will, because she's like me. We don't coast it, we like to go for it.
You bitch! You kill!
Some of the scenes must have hurt.
Get out of my pub! With pleasure!
afterwards, you go, oh, that was good. Oh, the adrenaline's going, you see. They're actually great scenes to do. Then you hug each other afterwards.
See you whenever.
Mind how you go, Pat. You're not getting any younger.
But the truth is, these two women were more alike than they dared to admit. Peggy realised that Pat was a tart with a heart.
The script department saw that there was a potential there for them to be more than just adversaries.
My heart goes out to Pat.
Well, you hated Pat, she wrecked your marriage.
She's lost more than I have.
The difficulty was finding the moment when you could see the chink in the armour when they might be less than adversaries.
I don't know about forgiving, but maybe it's time to forgive.
The fact that Frank wasn't a looming shadow in their lives anymore, in a strange way, brought them together.
I just thought that was very poignant when Peggy walked down and sat next to her, and then they just held hands together.
We saw two very formidable, tough ladies develop into the sweetest, most touching friendship the show has had.
Thanks, man. If Pat and Peggy were on each other's side, there was no one to touch us. We could take on the world.
Well, don't just stand there. Sling your rock!
Like with Harvey, when we both realise he's playing one against the other, we let him have it.
That is Queen Vic property.
Even Thelma and Louise weren't a patch on these two.
Right, let's do it!
Just give them some ice cream and a bottle of vodka, and there's a whole world of trouble.
Let me tell you something, Peggy.
Yeah?
I love you. The whole idea was fun. You've got the basics there of quite good comedy, because you've got two elderly people who are behaving badly. We're in the hospital, of course. Why don't you come over? We know we came from doctors and nurses.
Have you been drinking?
I hadn't realised how much the public enjoyed it, because even now they stopped me and said, oh, you in the sweet van, you and Pat, oh, we love that.
About time you both started acting your age.
Do you want to slap?
It's not only Peggy that loves her. After 20